Mick Mulvaney was on with Chris Wallace on Fox News, attempting to explain his comments a few days earlier, where he appeared to confirm that a quid pro quo had happened in regards to Ukraine and the Biden investigation. Here is his new defense.
Not only did you say that investigating the Democrats was one of the 3 conditions, not 2, that you had just said that you had talked about, investigating the Democrats was part of the quid pro quo. You also said, if I may, it was part of the Justice Department investigation into the origins of the Russia probe. But the fact is, not only did the press think you said it, here's what a statement that was put out by a senior Justice Department official. If the White House was withholding aid in regards to the cooperation of any investigation of the Department of Justice, that is news to us. Everybody thinks that that's what you said, and you didn't. You said right there, 3 points, not 2.
Well, and a couple of different things. You again said just a few seconds ago that I said there was a quid pro quo. Never use that language, because there is not a quid pro quo.
You were asked by Jonathan Karl, you've described a quid pro quo, and you said that happens all the time.
And reporters will use their language all the time. So my language never said quid pro quo. But let's get to the heart of the matter. Go back and look at that list of 3 things. What was I talking about? Things that it was legitimate for the president to do. Number 1, it is legitimate for the president to want to know what's going on with the ongoing investigation into the server. Everybody acknowledges that. At least I think most normal people do. It's completely legitimate to ask about that. Number 2, it's legitimate to tie the aid to corruption. It's legitimate to tie the aid to foreign aid from other countries. That's what I was talking about with a 3. Can I see how people took that the wrong way? Absolutely. But I never said there was a quid pro quo, because there isn't.
Okay, so that's all cleared up then, pretty much.
I think, okay.
So
I think Chris Wallace tried his best there to point out that, okay, that wasn't your language, but it was said to you like this and you agreed with it.
Yeah.
And he just ignored that.
I think that Chris Wallace is doing a great job of purchasing a ticket to wherever Shep Smith is right now.
Okay.
In being willing to stand against Donald Trump's new champion. But anyway, so he says what he believes happened. Chris Wallace seems to be being fair there. Mulvaney says, no, you're twisting my words. You guys are gonna use whatever words you want. So let's play a little game. Let's go back to the transcript and see what actually happened a few days ago. ABC News White House correspondent Jonathan Karl says, so the demand for an investigation into the Democrats was part of the reason that it was ordered to withhold funding to Ukraine. Mick Mulvaney, the look back to what happened in 2016 certainly was part of the thing that he was worried about in corruption with that nation, and that is absolutely appropriate. Karl, but to be clear, what you just described is a quid pro quo. The funding will not flow unless you're getting an investigation into the Democratic server happened as well. Mulvaney, we do that all the time with foreign policy. That was his direct response to Jonathan Karl saying, you're describing a quid pro quo. He says, we do that all the time. Yes, he didn't say quid pro quo there, but he confirmed that it was one.
He agreed with someone who did say that. And his defense is, well, I didn't use the words. I said yes, but I didn't say quid pro quo. I just said yes when someone else did.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and by the way, he also, Mulvaney, one thing he said there that was inaccurate was the look back to 2016 was part of the concern over corruption. No, it was all of the concern over corruption was his political enemies and investigations he wants into them. He didn't even do 10 minutes of research to come up with other instances of corruption that don't have to do with American politicians so that he could pretend that corruption is the issue rather than his 2020 campaign. Now, the reason Mulvaney should worry about his performance on Chris Wallace is not because Brooke doesn't find it to be convincing or I don't find it to be convincing.
It's a lie.
Well, it is a lie. No, he doesn't have to worry about the truth necessarily. What he does have to worry about is the audience of one that was for, and that is Trump. He apparently was not happy with it. President Trump spent the entire weekend holed up at the White House, voraciously consuming media coverage of his White House acting chief of staff and becoming increasingly frustrated by Mick Mulvaney's messy attempts to clean up his quid pro quo admission last week. According to CNN, Trump wasn't thrilled with the performance, including that interview we just showed you. Trump is growing increasingly annoyed that Mulvaney can't seem to properly communicate the White House's impeachment message. It's difficult to, admittedly. Mulvaney, though, does have one supporter out there on these shows, and that is someone who I try not to quote very often, but I like this particular quote, and that is Anthony Scaramucci, who said Mick Mulvaney was like that teenager in a horror movie that is scratching "help me" on the fogged shower door, okay? That's what he was doing last Thursday. If I were giving Mick Mulvaney advice, I would resign and get myself a really good lawyer because he's obviously working at the direction of the president. You're going to have to explain a lot of things.
Okay, sure.
I mean, he did get pushed out, so I guess he knows something about that.
He did accept the job.
Yeah, he did. Oh, no.
From a man who was putting babies in cages. So it's like, I have nothing for him.
Oh no, he's a terrible guy. He's a terrible guy. Not disagreeing with you at all there. But anyway, Rudy Giuliani was a bust. Mick Mulvaney is potentially even worse because he both admits to crimes and is kind of uninteresting while doing so. Who's up next? Maybe they'll go back to the vampire kid. What's his face?
Rudy Giuliani under the bus is something that I did not expect at all. I thought, because Rudy Giuliani is a writer and has never made any sense. So
yeah, I think there might be more coming in that area.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.